The adage, maternal instinct is extremely strong, couldn't apply to this mom dog more. What transpired when she found and brought home a dying dog will move you to tears. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Tsuki was a golden Labrador that had a difficult beginning in life. She had been purchased for a little girl as a puppy and Christmas present. The young canine had the most wonderful first few weeks of existence, filled with love, joy, and security. But the worst thing that could have occurred happened just a month later. As a puppy, Tsuki was very energetic and lively, frequently barking and grabbing clothes from her owners to entice them to play with her. The family found this to be too much. They drove Tsuki a few hours away from their house and then abandoned her on the streets after realizing they could no longer bear the responsibility of caring for a dog. The little dog first didn't comprehend what was going on and assumed she was just taking her family for a stroll. However, the dog sensed that something was up when they abandoned her. She attempted to chase after her family's vehicle, but it was too swift and quickly passed her. Now she was alone and had to fend for herself. After a few months, Tsuki had shed a significant amount of weight and had sustained some injuries from her time living on the streets. She had learned to survive on her own and scrounge for food, but she didn't enjoy living that way. The dog believed that this would be her existence for the rest of her days. But then something incredible occurred. The little puppy had had a typical day. In an alley behind a fast food restaurant, Tsuki was rummaging through some old bins when the rear door suddenly opened and a young woman in the company's uniform emerged. Daisy, the woman, didn't first see the dog, but after a short while, she noticed the small puppy attempting to hide under the trash cans. Daisy instantly felt sad for the animal. All animals, but especially dogs, had always had a special place in her heart. Daisy enticed Tsuki to come closer by offering her some of the burger's leftovers, and then she saw how miserable the dog was. The young woman realized she couldn't leave the dog alone as she gazed into its sad eyes. Daisy would be able to assist Tsuki without having to find a reason to leave work, because fortunately, she was just wrapping off her shift at the restaurant. Tsuki was too terrified to follow Daisy when she attempted to do so. The animal's previous encounter with people was when her family abandoned her, and she had no idea what would happen to her. Daisy never gave up and continued to reassure Tsuki that she was making an effort to assist. Tsuki eventually followed Daisy to the woman's car after deciding to trust her because she had been nice so far. Before Tsuki could leave for her new home, Daisy had to make one more stop after loading the dog into the back of her car. To make sure everything was well and there were no underlying health concerns, Daisy needed to get the Labrador examined by a veterinarian. Tsuki was eventually given permission to return home after the veterinarian examined her and administered much-needed immunizations. Tsuki was anxious as she got to her new house. She was afraid that if she did something, Daisy would put her out on the streets once more. However, Daisy was very loving, gentle, and patient. She knew she would never again be left alone and made sure the dog was doing well. Tsuki recovered all of her vigor and adapted to her new home over the course of a few years. Daisy and the dog became great friends and tried to spend as much time together as they could. When Daisy discovered Tsuki in the alley that day, she was quite appreciative. She has never known a more devoted, affectionate, and character-rich dog. In actuality, Tsuki was her closest buddy. Daisy and Tsuki enjoyed taking walks together as one of their favorite pastimes. They relished taking in the scenery and the fresh air. Tsuki started acting suspiciously one day as they were making their customary way home from the park. The dog became extremely vigilant and sniffed the air as though looking for something. The dog apparently found what she was looking for, and she hurried off down the road, dragging Daisy along with her. In the end, the two found themselves standing outside an alleyway, much like Daisy had done when she first discovered Tsuki. Daisy, bewildered, attempted to pull her Labrador to accompany her home, but the dog resisted. Rather, Tsuki continued down the lane until a little soft whimper could be heard. Daisy became interested in another little bark a few seconds later. Daisy was startled to discover Tsuki standing in front of a lone little puppy as she ventured out into the alley after her dog. It seemed like the dog was alone and really needed assistance. The animal was so malnourished that its bones were clearly apparent. The pup had obviously spent too much time alone. Tsuki looked at Daisy sorrowfully after gently picking up the tiny puppy in her jaws after noticing her distress. Daisy knew it was pointless to try to ignore her dog's beseeching gaze because Tsuki was simply too adorable. Daisy brought the puppy home with Tsuki after realizing that Tsuki wanted to assist the dog, and that she did too. Daisy made an urgent appointment with the veterinarian after returning home. The veterinarian didn't think the malnourished puppy would survive the night after viewing it. But Daisy was determined to do anything she could to save the tiny dog's life. Before sending the puppy home to begin its journey to recovery, she instructed the veterinarian to give the animal anything she required. To get the puppy, who she had called Rufus, back to full health, Daisy established a feeding regimen for the following several months. Daisy quickly came to the realization that she wouldn't be able to part with the puppy after the young woman and Tsuki fell in love with it right away. Happy that she now had a family to love and care for her, Rufus began to slowly get well. Tsuki got older as the years went on. The dog lived to an incredible age of 12 before passing away from old age. Even though Daisy and Rufus were crushed by the death of their cherished puppy, there was one bright spot. One day, Rufus had ran away from the house and into the nearby park, where he unintentionally became pregnant. Within a week after Tsuki's death, she was supposed to give birth. Daisy kept one of Rufus's puppies to remind herself of the Labrador's amazing deed of compassion, because she thought it would be the ideal way to pay tribute to Tsuki's memory. Just because she didn't want another puppy to grow up on the streets by themselves, Tsuki had rescued Rufus. After Rufus's puppies were born, all but one of them were placed in devoted homes. Daisy chose to call the small boy who remained with her Kusi in honor of her beloved Tsuki. This is such a charming tale. It just serves to highlight how complex and profound canines' feelings are. Please share your thoughts on this article in the comments section below. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.